Share down 0.6% today. Worries about Greece once again. 11.5 billion rand passing through the market. Just another day, right?
Well, you know, a 0.6% slide, not too dire. I mean, New York feels a bit spongy today after the big run-up on Friday. But, you know, they had the Super Bowl. New York won. So everybody there is drunk or late for work. So trading volumes are light. So I'm not reading too much into this afternoon's moves. And I don't think it's really got too much to do with Europe. I mean, that's been the excuse for so long.
Yeah.
But I think the scene in New York markets is more going to be following, you know, the positive non-farm payrolls number, and people are beginning to weigh that up in terms of the impact also of that on Obama's likely re-election, because that's been factored in as well, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, so Harmony's second quarter headline earnings per share increased by around 155%. Top of the top 40 for Harmony, and as you can see, it's sitting at 96 Rand 50.
Best of the lot, and, you know, trading close to 100 Rand a share, so that's been very good, and they're sustaining that, notwithstanding the fact that the Rand obviously has strengthened around 760, which is pretty good to the dollar and not good for them in terms of their margins. But I guess every dog has its day, every company has its moment in the sun.
It's finally for the gold mining companies, because for 10 years, for over a decade, there have been worries there with regards to the cost structures. Now, with such a high gold price, it just makes economic sense for the gold miners.
Well, unless you bought them last week, then you haven't made any money on this one. So, you know, as I say, you have your moment. Let's see if they can sustain this more than one quarter.
Nedbank, full-year headline earnings per share are anticipated to be as much as 28% higher. So a very good performance that came through on that number. But Nedbank is down just over 1% today.
Yeah, the banks just don't seem to be able to get much traction, but I think we all know what the backdrop there is in terms of concerns around their business model, about return on equity. So they've been able to make some progress because there's been some loan advance activity, and we saw that also with African Bank's numbers this morning. But there hasn't really been anything totally convincing with regard to, you know, the sheer weight of earnings and relative to their cost base. You know, which is also growing because we know that they're paying more for staff and electricity.
So Abel's up 0.4%. I mean, let's just touch on African Bank.
Yes.
Now, today, it's up 0.4%.
And at, you know, kind of 38 Rand. So that's starting to look a little bit more attractive. I want 40.
Disbursements for the quarter increased by 34%. Quarterly credit customers up 11%.
Yeah, so really the same story we've seen from them over quite a few reporting periods, which is larger loans of longer duration to good quality clients. So that's the key shift with regard to the sort of small loans, unsecured lending environment. But that's fine. You know, we know that that's what they're doing and that's what they're delivering. And I think the market's happy with that. But the same applies to them as applies to Nedbank. No real mojo with the share. I think it's going to wait and see whether, you know, the banks as an asset class can get a bit of energy at this level.
Okay, Paul,